You're listening to
and such a short amount of time to do it in. We were really
a Mamamia podcast.
Hi there and welcome to Cancelled, a podcast from Mamamia about who's in, who's out and who cares. I'm Jessie Stevens, a writer and author whose entire job is to listen and also ask questions, but also provide commentary. And essentially that's your way of saying that I do all the work for this podcast. So I'm Claire Stevens, I'm a writer and an editor, and I tell the story of a cancellation from start to finish. And together we have created the Cancelled Courtroom, where we say, okay, just like murder is more wrong than getting a parking ticket. I think I have a parking ticket right now, by the way. Mine fell off the windscreen. In all seriousness, I don't know what to do. Okay. Because I lost it. Seems like something you need to work out in your own time, not in work time. But just like murder is more wrong than getting a parking ticket, some celebrity crimes are more naughty than others, and therefore you need a sentence that fits the charge. But today, we're doing something different. So today, we're talking about a little-known woman named Jessie Stevens.
I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Mia Friedman.
And I'm Jessie Stevens. I'm Jessie Stevens, and this is True Crime Conversations. Hello, I am Jessie Stevens. I'm here at Booktopia to talk about my brand new debut book, Heartsick. Hey, yes. That's me. Yeah, it is you. Jessie, you've done some rogue stuff, literally since you were in the womb. Today, I'm literally the prosecution and you are literally the defense, in that you are the accused. Do you understand your role? I feel like
you need a lawyer.
Yes. Don't I get a lawyer?
No.
All right, because I feel as though the only witness to womb situation is you.
Yeah.
And it's very she said.
It is. But let's get stuck in. Jessie, you might remember we were born on December 21, 1990. I would argue that you were already guilty of a crime before birth, and that crime was hogging the spotlight. All I did was try to be conceived, and you were full overshadowing it.
I don't agree. So when we were born, I was born double your weight.
Yeah.
You didn't hustle. We've talked on this podcast a lot about hustling since the creation of this podcast. Hustling is an important virtue. Lance Armstrong, Elizabeth Holmes, and so on.
They were hustlers.
I'm a born hustler. In fact, I'm a pre-born hustler because I knew there was limited food, limited placenta juice, and I was having it and you weren't. That feels like a you problem.
Okay, well, I was 3 pounds when I was born. I was really
6.
sick and I had to be in the NICU.
I wasn't even a big girl. I was a normal-sized girl. You were small.
Anyway, it was inappropriate and hurtful, and I do feel like you were causing harm. Now, Jessie, you were born double my size, and before that, you did try to spread out and take up the whole womb because you decided you finally had your own space. So I was born and then you were like, woohoo, that crazy girl's out, and you spread out and then your elbow got stuck in mum's vagina.
It was my only chance of having a womb to myself.
Yeah.
You can't cancel a baby. We've never done it here before.
Disagree. I would like to formally accuse you of stealing nutrients in the womb and also violence against mum and her vagina. Next one, being a baby. Jessie, you broke my leg at 9 months old. Discuss.
Okay. I feel like we were both learning to walk.
I don't think so.
I don't know. And then maybe I had a trolley and it had wheels on it or something and I went over your leg a few times. Again, I don't think you can cancel a baby. I think babies don't mean it and babies make mistakes. And I feel like at the time I apologized. I feel like I was sorry. When you broke your leg, I feel like I would have cried.
I had to be in hospital for weeks.
You still walk a bit weird.
I didn't learn to walk until it was quite late. And you got to be at home with heaps of attention, and apparently you loved it and went full only child.
Yeah, I went full only child, like in the womb and then in childhood.
Okay. Well, I would like to accuse you of attempted murder. Because I think that that's what you did.
And this is how courtroom works, don't accept that.
Okay.
No.
It's up.
I didn't
Okay.
mean it. I didn't mean it. So it's manslaughter. And you were okay. So it's an oopsie. And it's an oopsie.
Tell that to the police. Moving on to childhood.
This is historic crimes. You can't bring the police in now.
I feel like there should be a statute of limitations for childhood crimes.
Yeah.
It's like it was 30 years ago. Childhood. You were a very funny looking child. You had buck teeth, very large knees, absurdly large, still, lots of freckles and appalling fashion. I would like to submit a few photographs to evidence, and I will run them past you.
Where did you get photographs? Oh, wow.
Okay. What do you see in this photograph just here? For the record, I'm tapping a photo.
I see depression epitomised.
In a child's face?
In a child's face. I see a little girl with sadness, darkness and blankness behind her eyes. She has a fringe, which is offensively short, criminally short. Okay? It's only halfway down the forehead. In her defence, it's a big forehead. Normal size fringe. Big forehead. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not a straight fringe.
No. God, no.
It's
You know
been
why?
cut by Nan,
Yeah.
who had vision problems. And that's evident on the face.
Yeah.
She's sad. She doesn't have a lot of definition. She's pale like the ghost Misha Barton plays in The Sixth Sense.
That is what you
She
look
looks
like.
unwell, like she's not getting enough iron. And for that, I like to put on trial Mum.
Okay. Disagree. This trial isn't about Mum. There might be a trial against Mum at a later date. But for now, it's you. And you brought that face into the world.
All right.
I have a second photograph.
All right, so what's happened is that the fringe has got stringier. It's got stringier. She's not got any teeth.
You know.
She's upsetting and she looks very ghosty.
Okay.
With the darkness around the eyes. Ugly kid. But I'm going to launch into a defence.
Okay.
Ugly kids grow up to be well-rounded adults. We know that to be true. It's good for your sense of humour, your development of other hobbies. Resilience, because you know you can't rely on your looks.
No. Was never
You
an
learned
option.
that as soon as you were tall enough to look into a mirror. You went, okay, this ain't my currency. Let's develop some new skills. Let's get into tapestry.
Yeah.
Let's get into the bassoon. I didn't do any of those things, but I do think that I realised I needed to be socially more than others because of that appearance.
Final picture is a school picture. I'm going to describe this one.
All right.
Stringy fringe that looks like it's not hair. It looks like it's literally bits of string.
Yeah.
The hair is so short that it comes just under the ears. The teeth are crooked.
Yeah.
And the smile is sad. It's so sad. There's something in your eyes and your smile that says, I'm going to hate this photo later. That's what it says. So I would just like to submit into evidence that you were a funny-looking child and that must have caused Mum and Dad significant distress.
You were my identical twin. Okay. We looked very much the same, and I do feel as though again, like there were some benefits to being ugly.
Okay. I guess it forced us to be quite close
Yeah.
because other people...
Well, like, you're ugly. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's not the beginning of a friendship. So we developed a great relationship. I didn't judge people for their looks. I know what it feels like to look like a foot or a ghost. You know, we talk about oppression and justice here. I've always been really tolerant of ghosts. Like, if I see a ghost getting a hard time, I'm like, leave them alone. I know what it's like.
to be ghostly.
No.
You were also a bad influence. Okay? And so you...
Some call it a bad influence, some call it leadership.
Okay.
I call it leadership.
Okay. You made us put our shoes in the microwave to see if they would spark.
They did.
Yeah. You made us be naughty and get in trouble with Mum and Dad. And Mum says the only times I ever got in trouble were when you made me do something. And she knew you were the
There's more
ringleader.
power in twos.
But there's a specific story. We were on holiday one year. We would have been 4. Our brothers would have been 2. And you woke me and Jack and Nick up early and somehow convinced us all to walk across a very busy road to go to the beach. Then Dad woke up and all his kids were missing.
Yes, which is distressing.
And he ran outside and there were all these people looking confused and pointing and he was terrified. As he walked over, there were these people whispering about a group of kids and it was us playing in the sand. Dad asked people what had happened and they specifically recall seeing you lead us across the road. What do you say to that?
I say that when you're by the beach, you got to seize the day. Okay? It was early, the sun was out, I woke up, no more time for sleep, and I said, no time to get changed, wake up the little ones, they can't talk yet, come on family. And you know what they saw me do? Stand in the middle of a main road
Yeah.
and usher like a mother duck the 3 children across and go, come on, we're going to the beach. I have a day of activities planned. We're digging a hole.
Okay,
Let's make a sandcastle.
that was dangerous. I think that is kidnapping and child endangerment.
I think that what I'm hearing is that there's a lack of backbone
Okay.
from others.
How about the 2-year-olds involved?
Well, they're innocent parties, but you were complicit in that event.
I have a new charge.
Oh.
Plagiarism.
Oh.
Because the year was 1997, maybe early 1998. We were about 7, and Mum took us to see Titanic, which
Great
in
film.
hindsight was completely inappropriate for 2 small children.
They
But
got hot in that car.
yeah, it
Very
did get
steamy.
sweaty.
Very humid.
Yes.
God, it's very hot.
Yes, she took us to the bathroom during that sex scene. We obviously loved it, and you came home and were inspired to write your own story. You called it Titanic. You entirely ripped off the plot of the movie. It was 9 pages, and you showed it to our teacher, who must have been like, bitch, keep this to yourself unless you want to get sued.
It also had a picture.
Okay.
Do you remember?
You tried to recreate the picture.
The naked picture.
Yeah.
Because I knew the actual book of Titanic, of which I don't even think there is one. So it was a film. Had it been made into a book?
I don't know.
No. So maybe that was me being quite innovative.
Okay.
A lot of people pick up a book and go, this should be a film, and they write the screenplay. I just did it the other way around.
Okay.
And I wrote a great story that has really stood the test of time.
Yeah.
About 2 people they meet on a boat. The boat is called the Titanic. Okay? They meet, there's class
It
differences.
sounds really familiar.
No. They hit, not an iceberg, a large piece of ice in the Atlantic.
It was full of spelling errors.
Yes.
And it was handwritten.
It was handwritten.
It was never gonna
with
get
pencil
published.
because I didn't have my
Pen license
no,
yet.
not yet.
You got your pen license very late.
Yes,
The teacher actually forgot about you because it was
Mum
so
had
late.
to call.
Yeah.
Mum had to call.
Okay. I'm also accusing you of making up boyfriends because I think you told people when we were in primary school that you had a boyfriend when you didn't. And I think I was standing there and I was like, Jessie, we don't know any boys. We've never met a boy and you're telling everyone you have a boyfriend.
I was really ugly, as aforementioned. So I had to get status somehow. Can you remember who he was? Did he sound hot?
I think it was like based on a family friend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It always is.
Yeah.
Good lies are always a little bit true.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, my boyfriend Samuel. And you were like, when did you hook up with Samuel?
We've met him once.
I'm like 10 and I'm like, yeah, so Samuel and I have moved in together. We talk often. Samuel and I are getting married.
Fashion. You bought a top. Well, I don't know how you bought a top, but you
Say naughty girl.
it said naughty. So it was a brown singlet. It was from Supre and it said naughty in white letters. And Dad was really mad because you were in primary school.
and I wasn't wearing a bralette.
No, and you wore it with a really nice pair of white pedal pushers and you also wore etnies.
I did wear etnies. I remember those. I can't believe I was allowed to have them.
I know.
Because I remember everyone had the Adidas 3-stripe.
yeah, we never had that.
But we would go and we'd get added, well,
We'd get
go to
like-
Payless that had a 4 stripes.
it had 4 stripes.
or 2 stripes.
Yeah.
Never 3.
Because it would have been like copyright for them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're getting things for $20 and they smell like burnt plastic, you can't have the Adidas symbol. No. It's really bad. I remember I had pink and white checkered pedal pushers. Mm-hmm. Went, 3/4 the way down the calf.
Yeah.
Probably my 4-striped
Yeah.
Adidas shoes that weren't Adidas. I remember wearing to a mufti day a boob tube
Okay.
that just covered my flat chest.
Yeah.
White tummy, full Little Miss Sunshine out, and obviously no bra or anything. And I remember getting there in the line and going, this isn't appropriate for school.
That was the worst.
That was the worst
You turned
feeling.
up to Mufti Day and you're like, I regret this.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything better in my wardrobe.
It's not like I could have done better. Every mufti day it got to recess and I was like, I hate myself. I wish I wore what she wore.
When we got retainers, so we got
Mine had a sun on it.
a top retainer, right? And you could choose colours. You shouldn't be able to choose colours. You're too immature to make that choice.
Yeah.
You got a sun and it was orange.
But the bottom one was purple.
And it was the most horrific cut. And every time you opened your mouth, it'd be like, do you have a disease in there? It looks horrific.
I remember with braces that we had to choose colours and I was like, I'm actually going to get yellow, like colours on it, because yellow, it'll actually make my teeth look really white.
And I was like, oh my God, that's
that's so smart. And then I put yellow on, and all it did was draw out the yellowness of my already yellowing teeth. And I was like, so it didn't work. So then I went all black.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Blue and pink, had a pastel stage. I think I went red for a bit. I was like, this looks ugly all the time.
It looks like I'm bleeding. Now, Jessie, then there was this moment. In primary school, around the time of the Olympics, everyone had to write a letter saying why they should be chosen to represent our school at the opening ceremony. Everyone else was trying to use big words like responsible and mature, and I've never lost my hat, not even once, but you had a different strategy. We lived with our Nan, and when Nan was growing up in Mortlake in like the 1930s, she had an aunt named Agnes who worked at the gasworks and who was messy. I'm so glad that gene didn't get passed down to us. That's a joke, because it did, because we're both chaotic. But somehow the phrase Scraggy Aggie from the gasworks was a family saying. You didn't want to look like Scraggy Aggie, Nan would say, as we walked out for school, looking a lot like Scraggy Aggie. But then
I feel like Scraggy Aggie never married. I mean, that's a whole other story, but
she's a spinster.
yeah, she's a spinster.
But you were completely oblivious to the fact that there were some phrases that you only use with your family. So in your letter, where you wanted to be included in the opening ceremony, you promised not to look like Scraggy Aggie from the gasworks. And you were chosen to represent the school.
Had tone.
And
I had tone and flair. I've always had flair.
you definitely looked like Scraggy Aggie when you went.
Yeah, I remember feeling like an imposter and being like, I'm so glad it's not Mufti Day, because I would have worn my little bralette with my pedal pushers and I would have looked down and been like, damn it.
Everyone else from the other schools looks better.
I think I had to borrow someone's hat.
But that is crimes against fashion and style and childhood.
I remember I went through a stage where like we'd go to Big W or whatever to do a shop and I was like, oh my God, it's Mango. Remember that brand?
Yeah.
Or like Piping Hot or something.
Piping Hot was a vibe.
The only person I could feel cool in front of was you. So I would try and pretend like I was cool in front of you. So we'd be shopping and I'd be like, I just always find that I just gravitate towards the boys section. Like I'm just a really big tomboy. Like I just love a buttoned up shirt, a tie.
I'm like, Jessie, Mum says we can't spend any money here anyway.
That's you. You're in a velvet two-piece.
Okay,
remember that velvet two-piece?
Isn't about me.
I went to the Year 6 disco in an Avril Lavigne tie with eyeliner and I crimped my hair. And when I got there, my crush didn't ask me to dance. And I cried.
Okay, moving on to the teen years, because there are more crimes. You went on to choose horrific braces colours, as we've discussed.
Yep.
I am fairly certain you made up a lot of stories to scare our brothers. Like, we'd be at Grand's and you were like, the lady next door's a murderer. And I'm like, come on now. Come on, they're children.
That's fun.
One time you got... Actually, this is serious. This is the most serious out of all of them. Jessie, you had a boyfriend in like year 9 and you got him... I don't know if you planned this or he was just mean. He called me and pretended like he actually liked me and
Did that
he was in
happen?
a horrible position.
Who was it?
But then you laughed. You had known about it.
who was
It was Jordan.
That's not funny.
It was really cruel. I think about it often. So that was really mean because you were making fun of me.
That was him. How
I-
did he call you? You didn't have a phone?
I think of the home phone. So sad. I believe that your year 12 major project for art could get you cancelled today. Comment.
I disagree. I stand by everything I've ever created creatively.
Okay. So it was 5 sketches of men in history with jewellery to challenge gender norms.
It was called Her Story, and it was looking at history from a female perspective, and it had 5 figures, and it was Prince William, Barack Obama, Hitler,
That's mostly the one.
Albert Einstein, and Hugh Hefner.
Yep.
And each of them had an image of a female embedded in it somewhere, which was the whole idea. I think it was very creative and clever. Like Hugh Hefner had boobs with a Playboy tattoo. So it was like he was the face of a whole movement of history that obscured the women behind him. And same with Barack Obama. He had a little Hillary brooch.
And what did Hitler have? Did Hitler have a Star of David?
Yeah, on his ear. That's true. Do you know how many Jewish women never got to live because of Hitler?
Yes, I know. Jesus Christ. I just don't think that you were really woke enough in year 12 to handle those sensitive issues.
I think it was a really good point. I stand by it.
Okay, so you think that's fine. How about the time in year 10 you did a monologue to Shakespeare and reinterpreted it to be a terrorist?
I'd forgotten about that.
So we all got given a Shakespearean monologue. Which one were you?
The Tempest?
The Tempest, and you dressed as a terrorist and you said all of it in the voice of a terrorist. And I remember everyone walking out and thinking, why do I feel uncomfortable?
No, it was a really complicated time. We were really affected by 9/11. I can't. It was really inappropriate. But, like, I'm sorry, but
You
that
should have been
a
cancelled.
teacher should have intervened. That's why I'm at school, because I'm asking for help. I wasn't pretending I was fully formed. I needed to be stopped and told that's really inappropriate.
Okay, that was really screwed up. Okay, but more screwed up.
I would actually like to apologise for that.
Perhaps more offensive was your clock.
Yeah.
You made a clock in DT.
I didn't choose to. I had to.
It
was a stage with curtains.
it had curtains, and you gave it to Dad,
As a gift.
and he didn't want it.
Well, I thought he had it in his office, but now I've discovered it's just at home.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have it in his office.
No,
To this day, I think that's not a bad clock.
it's appalling. It's
Okay.
black with curtains on it, and
You
gold
can draw the
numbers.
curtains.
The numbers aren't symmetrical.
No. Who needs that? It's like you already know the time you have a phone.
You didn't know that at the time. Also, your formal dresses weren't it.
One was a mullet dress.
A mullet dress.
It was blue. It was a halter neck mullet.
Okay. That was horrific. They
All
were
of them?
all horrific. Yep.
I remember the one formal I went to and I thought, I won't wear fake tan because this red will bring out my beautiful porcelain skin. Spoiler. Narrator. She did not have beautiful porcelain skin. I remember looking down and being like, my legs are purple. Because it was winter and, you know, it goes really blotchy. And it was one of those instances where you're having on trays and I'm like, why didn't I get a fake tan? Why didn't I put some fake tan on?
I look
Just some
pink.
colour, some colour.
There was also the theme parks holiday. So I did consult other sources about this and I said to Mum, hey Mum, I've got to cancel Jessie. What would you like to cancel it for? And she said the theme parks holiday.
I recall her being a bitch.
Well, she
That
said
holiday.
her words were Jessie was a nightmare. And she said we all wanted to go to Dreamworld, the whole family, but you wanted to go to Movie World. So we went to Movie World. Then you were scared of rides, so you wouldn't even go on them.
I hate rides.
You ruined it.
Right.
I still haven't been to Dreamworld. I'm 30. I still haven't been. Anyway.
Dreamworld no longer has a good reputation,
No.
I will tell you that.
No.
But Movie World, I enjoyed watching everyone else on their rides.
And watching the Shrek movie for the fourth time. All right, uni and early adulthood. You are guilty of choosing some doozies when it comes to boyfriends. I remember going out to dinner with myself and Rory and a new guy you were seeing, and he was 100% currently on drugs during dinner.
I didn't know that
Until later.
until later.
He also came to our family Christmas on drugs, which was uncomfortable.
That's the thing when you've grown up not that rich, you don't realise that everyone else is on drugs because you can't afford them, which is a privilege.
Yes.
A privilege because everyone else is on very expensive drugs and I'm like, you had $50 in your pocket?
Yeah.
And that's for a cheap drug.
Exactly. So that wasn't a good time. We used to share makeup. Remember we used to share
Yeah.
makeup? So we'd go to the club and we'd share a bag. And so it was like you would have a bag that had all our makeup, all our IDs,
Yep.
bank cards, and then you would go home with a guy and I'd be like, I can't get home. And I remember Mum being like, you need separate bags. And I was like, she needs to not be.
I think we did need separate bags.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a cancellation of a person.
I did have to pick you up many times from nights that had turned
Gone
out
bad.
awful. Yeah.
This is about the people we cancel along the way.
Okay. And who are we cancelling?
Everyone else.
Okay.
The boyfriends who were mean.
All right. I wrote a history assignment with you during uni, and then you won a university award for it.
Did I?
Yeah.
Could have got that on my LinkedIn somewhere, I think.
Yeah. There was an awards night for it that I attended to support you. I was so mad. I also want it on the record. I think you had too many rabbits and guinea pigs.
I love rabbits.
No, you always had one.
Yeah.
Do you think?
What's wrong with that?
Do you think
though?
you gave them the attention that they deserve?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think they had the lives that they would have liked?
I mean, no rabbit should be a pet. I don't think, looking back. But I gave them all the love that they deserved, and I don't know how much space they need.
You took a guinea pig to the vet in an esky because you couldn't drive, so you could only walk with an esky.
Yeah.
And you said...
It wasn't a cold esky.
No.
It was just a box.
Yeah. And you said, my guinea pig
Has a tutu.
looks like a ballerina. Looks like it's wearing a skirt because it lost all its hair from the waist up. And they said, does your guinea pig live with anyone else? And you said, yes, my rabbit Ella. And they said, your rabbit is grooming your guinea pig and making her look like a ballerina. And that was your day that day. So I want to put that on the record. Animal issues.
I separated them after that.
Okay. I do remember there was a wooden
Yeah.
separation.
There was a wall.
Yeah.
And Ratus was like, Ella, can you groom me? It was so sad.
Then there's the Mamma Mia phase. You were not able to journalism at all, and it was horrific.
Neither could you.
Okay, this isn't about me. One time you were working for the video team for a bit, and your job was to film Mia getting her hair done, and to date it is the single worst piece of content I have ever seen. The lighting, the sound, the angles, and you just acted like you knew what you were doing. You also, I consulted Mia, and she said that you thought everything was problematic, and it was annoying.
I do think that was annoying.
Yeah.
I thought everything was problematic, heteronormative,
Yeah.
or homogenous.
Yeah.
It's not pronounced like that.
No.
I heard someone say it on the radio recently. I think it's
Homogeneous?
homogenous. I'd only read it.
Sounds right. Yeah.
So that's happened with a lot of words.
Yeah. Yeah. You wrote some terrible stories.
Correct.
Hopefully they've been removed from the internet now, but these are some relatively recent terrible headlines.
Okay.
I want you to respond.
Okay.
The 3 most terrifying bird facts for everyone who really doesn't like birds.
I stand by it. Oh, one was made up. That was fun. Because you didn't know which one. What were the facts?
I don't know.
I think it was about like magpies remembering your face and stuff. That story went so well.
Okay.
Because you know why I pitched that story?
Why?
I said, excuse me, people who don't like birds, great identity.
Yeah.
They really identify as bird haters. Everyone knows one.
The story did do well. Well, today I learned that you can absolutely burp up a fart.
That did not perform. That was a surprise. That I thought would go better than it did. And you can burp up a fart.
Okay, we need to talk about the very specific smell of dog's feet immediately. Do we need to talk about it immediately? Clickbait. The one thing never to do if you've been bitten by a snake.
Oh, that was a low point. That was over the January period and there'd been a snake bite. But I don't remember what it is.
Neither. I just discovered, this is related to the podcast, I just discovered Nick Cummins' auntie is my favourite reality show contestant of all time.
Margie
It
from
was
The Biggest Loser. As if that's not a satisfying read.
The single most clickbait headline I've ever read.
I
in
don't
my
do
life.
that anymore, but you know you clicked.
The one thing everyone does with their dog but is too embarrassed to admit, it wasn't sniffing their feet.
What was it?
Giving them personalities.
Oh, that's just lame.
was
that
terrible.
was honestly, that was one of those days where you got nothing.
Finally, there's something we need to talk about, and yes, it's dogs eating our tampons.
So, interestingly, the comments on that, people didn't relate. That wasn't a thing. Sometimes you test if something's a thing, and you're like, you just wait. Everyone's had this experience, and everyone goes, I don't relate. Like 6 people read it, and they were like, ew. So that was really successful.
I do think your most cancelable offence to date, though, is dating the boss's son. I'm still really, really mad about that. So we started work here. I felt like we worked really hard. We didn't know anyone in media. We had no
Underdogs,
leg
ugly
up.
children.
We just came up. We had never been in any kind of, not corporate, but no
hadn't
type
been
of
in an office.
We hadn't been in an office, and we worked really hard. And then you said, "I think I like Luca,
I did.
who happens to be Mia Friedman's son."
Yes.
And I said, "Lovely. We shan't be acting on that. We shall be keeping that to ourselves. And if you act on that, I will disown you as a sibling." And now 5 years later, you've been going out for a long time.
Created some tension.
Yep.
There has been media reports that nepotism is involved.
Yeah.
Untrue. We'll have that on the record. Mm-hmm. Was on Mamma Mia Out Loud before I started dating Luca. But, and it's a defense I will use time and time again, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Oh.
It does.
I just think it complicates things.
I'm in love. And I remember we moved seats so we weren't sitting next to each other anymore and so on. We did lots of good things.
Great.
To help.
Great. I cancel you for that.
And other than getting paid $500,000 a year because I am dating the boss's son, I feel no advantage.
Please have it on the record that she's joking. Dear God. Okay, approaching 30. You wrote a book about heartbreak despite having caused a lot of heartbreak yourself.
Not a lot. Not a
Some.
lot, but some.
Hypocritical. You're stingy with giving me a lift.
Yes.
You have an inexplicable soft spot for Kyle Sandilands.
He can make me giggle.
Has said some
Horrible things. Inexcusable things. But he just makes me laugh.
That's appalling. Sometimes you think you're better than me because your house is cleaner.
Yep.
And you still don't have printing access, despite having worked for this company for longer than 6 years.
Again, it's a boss's son thing.
Yeah.
When you date him, you don't need it. You just go around with people and you say you. And I imagine myself with a ruler and kind of slapping it down and going, print for me.
Okay. Except you do that, but to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm dating the boss's son.
Yeah.
So,
You're therefore important.
yes.
That's my case. So it's time for charges and sentences.
Okay, I feel like you should probably do the first one.
Okay. Jessie, I would like to go back to 1 times charge of attempted murder
Okay. That
against
was bad.
a 9-month-old baby.
All right. I say no to that.
Okay.
I do not say guilty. I say not guilty. But if I was found guilty, what would be the sentence?
What needs to happen? You know, in court, you have to pay damages.
I think that's only Judge Judy. I don't
No.
think that's a real thing.
No, it is. You have to
Oh.
pay damages.
Okay.
Because I have been disadvantaged in life ever since the attempt on my life.
How?
When I was a child, I learnt to walk later, and I'm sure that
seem to be doing fine.
affected my self-esteem.
Okay.
I'm also really short.
So how much is your self-esteem worth? You just want my money.
I want your
Ever
money.
since you learned how much I'm on.
5 minutes ago. You need to pay me $2 million
I don't have $2 million.
later.
In installments.
Yes,
perhaps.
in installments. So that is my first charge and sentence. Go.
Okay. My first charge, not being very cool.
Okay.
I think that's the central charge here, is that I would wear skater shoes with 4 stripes, for
Okay.
example. I had my naughty girl shirt. I had a makeup bag. It said 69 on it. I was 10. Okay? I didn't know what it
that meant.
I didn't know, but Dad again was upset. So I wasn't a cool girl. So what's the sentence? It is a crime.
Yeah, and you're guilty.
Exactly. Guilty, guilty.
Yeah.
Sentence. Living with that.
Okay.
I have to live with knowing about that mufti day and what I wore and what the teachers would have thought. Okay? I know that I had my white belly sticking out. I would have been humming Dilemma by Nelly and also Kelly Rowland.
Yeah.
I have to live with knowing that I wore a red lanyard around my neck with my bus pass attached. Okay? It was attached for ease of access. I can't sleep recalling that I wore Dad's tie to that disco. I can't sleep. I think about it often. It's extremely upsetting. Do you remember that time that I know, fake tan, very politically controversial at the moment, but I was just a ghost trying to fit in when Garnier released their first fake tan. If that wasn't a punishment,
maybe this will fix it.
maybe this will fix it. And I put a layer on. I didn't understand it developed. So I put another layer, another layer, another layer, and then I went to bed. And the next day, I got to school and went, uh-oh.
Everyone called you an Oompa
Or Oompa Loompa. And then I had to get up on stage and my friends said, hey, when you're on stage, all the year 12s behind me were saying, how gross do that girl's legs look?
I think people also started to sing the song.
Oompa.
It's so upsetting. And I have to live with that.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty fair sentence.
Yeah. Okay. My final charge, severe cultural appropriation. For the time, you did do a monologue as a terrorist.
I don't think terrorist is a culture.
I think it's offensive, generally. I don't think that's what Shakespeare intended.
No, it's called, I was inspired by like Baz Luhrmann, Clueless? I don't know. What do you do when you take Shakespeare to the modern time? John Bell from Bell Shakespeare, he'd like that. Maybe not the terrorist, but he would like that I was modernising a text. The person in it was meant to be like a tyrant, like someone who was terrorising people. And I went, let's bring this into a modern context. I think too often about 9/11 and how when I was in year 5 I hid under my desk when I heard an aeroplane. There's a lot of issues with how we dealt with that culturally, and I was clearly affected. I was a product of my time.
The sentence is, you must have one of your favourite pieces of art destroyed by a terrible instance of appropriation.
Like what?
So say, for example, what's your favourite TV show?
Oh, The Office.
The Office. Okay, there's going to be a version where it's like The Office except it's terrorists. And they're planning things and it's not funny. It's not funny at all. It ruins it. And it's just appropriated. And it's a year 10 girl. It's year 10.
Terrorists do wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And I'll have that on the record. Okay, my final charge.
Yeah.
And I will own this as I think it's important. And it's a charge that has been waged at me over the years and I've never really acknowledged it, but it's time to find me guilty of it. Being annoying sometimes.
Okay.
Being annoying. The theme park thing, probably annoying.
Yes. Gosh.
Making you hang out with boyfriends who had some problems. Very
Who were
annoying.
under the influence of drugs at the time?
Yes. Now, my sentence is forgiveness from everyone.
What? You can't just ask for forgiveness?
Yes, forgiveness and also maybe donations. And love. Maybe my sentence is other people giving me money.
Okay. That's appalling.
My BSB is okay.
You have manipulated the court system.
Yes.
That's not how the court system works.
Do you think I'm cancelled?
I
A
think
little bit.
this is an example of how all of us should be somewhat cancelled for the lives we
All
have
of us
led.
are cancelable.
Yes.
Which is the moral of the story. If
Exactly.
we went deep into anyone's
Some
lives,
more so than others.
yes, we've all got things in our history.
Yeah.
This is a good lesson.
It is. That's all we've got time for on Cancel Today, mostly because we ran out of Jessie's life. It doesn't continue after the present moment.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
If you want to see the receipts that Claire did present during this courtroom, she will be putting them on the twins' Instagram.
Yeah, with commentary.
With commentary, lots of images, lots of things from the archives. Thanks for that. If you enjoyed this episode, you can leave us a review. 5 stars is nice. Otherwise, don't comment.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. We will be back next week with another cancellation.
Bye.
Bye.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.